Okay, so what I want to show you today is the custom screen set that we've developed for Mach3, which is what controls the plasma cutting machine as well as allows you to program most of the pipe that you'll be processing through the machine. And so the first thing that you want to do is come here and open up your Mach3, which has come loaded on the computer that came with the machine. Then I want you to click on Plasma and OK. And the custom screen set is loaded. And custom screen set is loaded. And I want to take a moment to show you how this screen set works, what it looks like, what the different features are. First thing that you're going to notice here is that you're able to control the machine itself from this screen. You've got the load G-code button, close G-code button. Those are pretty self-explanatory. If you've programmed something outside of this screen set, then you would use this in order to bring those programs in or take them out. The rewind G-code, what it does is it brings the G-code back to 0 if you want to run it a second time. Or if something happens and you had to pause it and maybe start over again with the cut, this will bring it back to 0. Now next, over on the left-hand side, down at the bottom here, what you see are data entry fields for the parameters for the material that is going to be cut. Now, just to be clear, you don't want to actually change any of these parameters on this particular page. If you do, there's no way to actually get them into the G-code from this page. But suffice it to say that you could take a look at what you've got over here and just sort of verify what it is that the parameters that you're going to be cutting to, and just give it a quick check to make sure that there weren't any mistakes. What you will want to put in on this screen are the specifics about your machine. And we'll just run down the list. It's pretty self-explanatory, but just in case, save Z height. This is the height that the machine is going to go to, that the Z axis is going to go to when you are moving the part on the machine. It avoids the collision. Pierced height, that comes right out of your manual. That's how high you want the tip of the torch to be from the material during the pierce portion of the setup. Pierce delay, that's how long you want the machine to dwell so that the arc can penetrate the material that you are going to cut. Once it is pierced, it's going to move down. The Z-axis is going to move down to the cutting height. Again, that parameter comes out of the manual, and you may want to tweak that a little bit in and out. The Z-axis feed rate, that really is just how quickly you want the torch to move up and down. The only time that really comes into play is in between cuts. And I found the 3 inches per minute works really, really well. The cutting feed rate, that again comes out of your manual, and it's dependent upon the thickness of the steel that you're cutting. Typically, I cut this material right here. It's 1.5" sked 40 pipe with a 0.145 wall. So, roughly 1/8 of an inch. I think if you went to the manual, you would see that I should be cutting that at about 110 or 115 inches per minute. That's the speed that I found to be just a little bit too fast. And for me, the sweet spot is down around 45 inches per minute to get a nice cut and, good results out of my cuts. The post-cut delay. Okay, what the post-cut delay is, what ends up happening with Mach3 is there are times when it moves on to the next step before finishing the step that it was working on. And a good example of that is towards the end of a cut, it will move off the cut before the torch has actually been turned off. It doesn't allow for enough time for the torch to turn off. And what that does, it doesn't actually ruin the part, but it leaves a little tab, little 1/8 inch tab there. So now you have to fight in order to get the part off that you've cut. And then you've got extra grinding. So if you're noticing that your plasma is not cutting all the way around the pipe and the pipe, the part is falling off freely, the first thing you want to do is increase this post-cut delay and see if that solves the problem. If that doesn't solve the problem, you should reach out and we'll work to figure out what's going on. But 99% of the time, that's the culprit right there. And so you want to pay attention to this particular entry field if, in fact, you're not cutting all the way around. And then the last thing over here is the kerf width. And what that does, again, it's right out of your manual. It depends upon the thickness of the material that you're cutting. What you want to do is start with what the manual tells you to. But then in future videos, we're going to end up dialing that in a little bit more. Okay. And then the last component that's of interest here are these different tabs up at the top. You've got the fish mouth, miter, and this is for over length. And these tabs, okay, we're going to go into more detail, but these are how you program the machine for the simple cuts. And each one of these has a diagram associated with it, and we'll go into further detail for each of these buttons, for each one of these buttons. But for now, just suffice it to say that in order to navigate to a place where you're actually going to do the programming for the pipe, okay, you want to get off the run program screen and go to one of these buttons, depending upon what it is that you're cutting.